everyone, hope you are good and be happy always. Once again, welcome to Sachi's Academy and today we will discuss oligopoly market. What is oligopoly market? It's the market where there are very few sellers and very large number of buyers. Take for example automobile industry where there are very few car companies which are operating in market and we all buy their automobiles or the cars manufactured by them. Take for example, another example is airlines where there are very large number of people who fly into air with the help of these airlines, but there are very few airlines which are operating in the market in any nation, any given nation. And another example is your beverage industry, that is soft drinks industry, where very few players are there which operate internationally and there are large number of buyers. We all love soft drinks or cold beverages to quench our thirst in times of summer and otherwise also in marriages and other processions. So what is that? These all come under oligopoly markets. So let's discuss that with the definition. Oligopoly in fact means few sellers. That means oligo means few and poly means sellers. So few sellers market is there. Right here we have the definition of oligopoly, that is a form of market having few big firms. That is, it's a type of market where there are very few big firms. You can count them on your fingertips and there are very few. Take for example, the car producers are there, automobile industry is there, then we have airlines. There are very few sellers. Why there are few sellers? Have you ever thought? Because a huge amount of investment is required to establish these type of industries and that's why there are very few sellers. Now, there are very large number of buyers. That's nothing new. We all like to consume all these services. So consumers are in large number. Then what is the basic thing that is about oligopoly is that price and output decisions of one impact rivals. Why? Because there are very few firms. They are in competition with one another and their moves are closely watched on by their rivals and their decisions are just followed by their rivals also, and price and output decisions of one impact other. Why? Because see, for example, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are the biggest players in beverage industry in India, cold beverage industry. So what happens over there? If price of Pepsi decreases, in that case, price of Coca-Cola will also have to be reduced. Why? Because the prices of reduced Pepsi prices will lead to more demand for Pepsi company and Coca-Cola will lose its market share. So to just stop its market share from decreasing, Coca-Cola also will have to reduce its prices. So that is what is happening here. Then high degree of interdependence among competing firms. These firms are competing, they have cutthroat competition amongst them and there is high degree of interdependence. I just told you, if price of one will be reduced, other will also have to decrease its price, otherwise they will have the fear of just losing their market share and losing their customers, that is the price customers, and they will lose their profits, they will lose their sales also, their sales will decline. So car producers, automobiles industries, airlines, etc. and beverage industry operate in this market. Then types of oligopoly, what are they? There are three categories, that is, you can see CNP, you can write the code CNPI. What? Because C means collusive, N means non-collusive, P means perfect and I means imperfect. There are three categories of oligopoly. Now let's discuss them one by one. Number one, collusive oligopoly. What is that? Collusive means a group formation is there. The firms which are operating in market, 3-4 firms are there. They just sit together, they frame an agreement, they enter into an agreement that we will not compete with one another. That means they join hands and become friends and they just share the whole market amongst themselves. So what happens here? They all are benefiting, but the consumers are lost because they will decide some price and consumers will have to bear that because there is no competition amongst them and they will not just upgrade their products, they will not decrease, just reduce their prices, or they will not compete. That means consumers will be at loss and they may have lower quality of goods or they may have to pay higher prices. Okay, so here collusive oligopoly means cartel formation, they form group, those are known as cartels. Then non-collusive oligopoly. Here, just for instance, here I would like to say just for a second, the cartel formation is prohibited in India, that is prohibited in Europe also and about other nations. That's not clear scenario with me. I'll be just looking into that matter. Here, cartel formation is not permitted in India and Europe. Why? Because consumers are at loss and Monopolies and Trade Practices Act under these acts it is prohibited. Why? Because these cartels may form a monopoly type of market. They will control the whole market, and they will charge whatever price they want of their commodities. So that is not good for customers, and that's why government just does not permit the formation of cartels. Then non-collusive oligopoly. Here there is no cartel formation, there is no group formation. All the competitors or all the players in the market compete fiercely with one another. They just do not involve in price wars. But why? Because if they involve in price war, that means if one reduces price, I just now told you, others will also have to reduce their price. So they do not involve in price wars. Otherwise, they sell their differentiated products. Just for Reliance, take for example, they can just give you better type of food. They can have a good amount of other services, offers may be there. There can be other perks, like they may give you chocolates, the party gifts may be there. These type of differentiated services can be there, or air hostesses can be very good to you, or any other type of services can be there. Offers can be there. So these type of oligopoly means that firms are competing with one another. Except price, they will compete in everything. They will differentiate their product and make their product better. Then here, perfect and imperfect oligopoly. Perfect oligopoly means the oligopoly firms are selling perfectly homogeneous commodity, just like in your perfect competition, where all the sellers were selling homogeneous commodity. That means for airlines we can say they are selling same type of services, or for automobiles they are selling same type of car, exactly same type of car. So their services are not differentiated in any manner. They have same brand ambassador. That means perfect competition type of market is there, but it does not happen in reality. Oligopoly firms sell differentiated products. Okay, that imperfect. In reality, imperfect oligopoly is found in markets where firms sell differentiated products. Take for example, different automobile companies sell different type of cars. They have different features, they have different mileage, they have different offers, etc., and different brand ambassadors, of course. So in that manner, that is imperfect oligopoly that operates in real-time markets of our world. Then come to the features. What are the features of oligopoly firms? Number one, small number of big firms. As we have discussed, there are very few firms operating in market, but they are big firms. They are internationally operative. They operate in different countries, they sell in different countries and have market share in different nations. Then high degree of interdependence. As we have seen, they are interdependent in terms of pricing and output, and they share the market, and their moves are closely watched on by their rivals as well. Difficult to trace firms' demand curve. Why? Because their moves are highly interdependent. Pricing and output decisions are highly interdependent. They depend on their rivals for their pricing decisions, on their output decisions. That's why they cannot have any independent demand curve, and that's why it's difficult to frame a demand curve of any firm. Then formation of cartels. As we have seen, sometimes oligopoly firms may join hands together. They may enter into an agreement and form cartels, as we have discussed, and for their own benefits, of course. Then entry barriers. There are huge entry barriers for firms to enter into these type of markets. First, because they need or they require a huge amount or tremendous amount of finances to enter into these markets, and then licenses are involved. It's very difficult to get licenses of airlines or automobile industry or beverage industries. It's very difficult, so entry barriers exist. So because if you want to establish any car company, so it's very difficult to enter into the market, because you need a huge investment, and secondly you need permission of the government, permission of several other authorities to enter into that market. Then non-price competition is involved. No price wars happen in oligopoly market. Only non-price competition. Just like differentiating brand, they may have different brands. They may develop brand loyalty for their customers. Then they may their product may be differentiated through color, text. Just like 7-Up is somewhat different in color, Sprite is different in texture, color, Coca-Cola is somewhat different, and they may have different brand ambassadors. They may have different trademarks, brands, etc., and they may have other offers also. So they compete on the basis of non-price competition, on the basis of differentiated products, and not on the basis of price. Then come on to the demand curve of oligopoly firm. See, it's difficult to frame a demand curve. Why? Because prices are sticky over here. And here we will discuss how the curve happens in oligopoly market. This is a simple demand curve, but it has a kink, a curve. At this point, you can say, you can name this point as A. Here, if we see that prices are decided by other firms at this point. Okay, this is a point, this price is P1. Here the price is P1 and quantity for that firm is here, you can say Q1. Here, price and output are just decided, and it is decided by the whole market, you can say, and it cannot sell more than that. Here the prices are stick here. Why? Because it will, if it increases price, you can see, if it increases its price, it will not benefit at all because its demand has been reduced significantly. You can say this is the share, this demand has reduced, come back, it has reduced to this extent, but if reduces its prices, others will also follow it. And in that case, if it reduces prices, you can say reduce price here P3, you can say P1 was increased price, P3 is decreased price. If it reduces price, others will also reduce price. Say for example Coca-Cola and Pepsi. If Pepsi reduces price, Coca-Cola will also reduce its price, and Pepsi will not gain in terms of neither the profits nor the market share. So it is a loss situation. It will never enter into price war, and that's why the prices over here, over this kink, are known as sticky prices, because they are stuck here. They will not move either upwards or downwards. So that's why sticky prices exist in your oligopoly market. We can discuss all these things later on in other videos for higher classes also, but for now it's okay with this. So I hope this is a kink demand curve. You can draw it simply like this. Just draw an L, then curve here, then midway you need to form a curve and this like this. So here the portion is elastic and here the portion comes as inelastic, and this is the demand curve, or you can say the average revenue curve of oligopoly firm, and you can write sticky prices. Sticky prices, and for demand curve for oligopoly you will write the kink demand curve. Kinked demand curve, K-I-N-K-E-D, kink demand curve. Okay. Then now the markets are over. Now we need to discuss the basis of market classification. What is the basis that we discuss them as perfect competitive market, monopolistic, monopoly, etc. Why? There are basically 5 bases on which we differentiate between different markets. Number 1 is number of buyers and sellers. See, in perfect competition we saw if number of buyers and sellers is very high and sellers are selling perfectly homogeneous commodity, that is perfect competition. But in monopoly what happened? There was only a single seller. In oligopoly very few sellers. In monopolistic very large number of sellers but less than perfect competition. So this was the basis of number of buyers and sellers. Then nature of the commodity. Say for example, in a monopolistic firm, a monopoly firm sells a commodity that is perfectly essential and that is not manufactured by other people. That means the demand for that commodity is perfectly inelastic. That means it's an essential commodity. So monopoly is the market where, just like you can say the Indian Railways. Indian Railways are essential for commuting in India. India is a very vast nation. It's a subcontinent. So from going on from one place to another, it is the cheapest mode for passenger commuting, and secondly for your cargo carriage of huge amounts. So bulk carrier is your Indian Railways, and that's why it is an essential commodity, and that is controlled by a monopoly of government. Okay, the degree of price control. See, price control is different in different markets. Take for example, in a perfectly competitive market, firm is price taker and not the price maker, but it is opposite in monopoly. A monopolist is price maker. He makes the price and he decides what price it will just get from the consumers. Then, knowledge of the market. In your perfectly competitive market, there is perfect knowledge of the market for both buyers and sellers. But in your oligopoly, in your monopolistic, there is imperfect knowledge of market conditions for both buyers and sellers. Then, mobility of factors. In your perfectly competitive market, there is perfect mobility of factors of production, but in other markets there is no perfect mobility of factors of production. That's why they have different prices and they command different wages and their salaries are different and their transportation cost is there, and that's why prices of commodities manufactured by all these firms are different. So that's all about these markets. We will discuss the pricing and output decisions in perfect competition in our next video. For now, I hope this is sufficient, and take a screenshot of this. Okay, now oligopoly is over. If you have any confusion regarding that, you may just ask in comment box, and take care. God bless you. Thank you.